was masked by golden curtains. You didn't know we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. From the shadows, light emerges, breaking through the veils of dark. 0 points in gravity converge, yeah. Dying voices, revelation start. Ancient whispers call. They're begging us to open our eyes. We stand tall, defying all their lies. You didn't know we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. Forbidden knowledge we dare to see, unveiling secrets, setting minds free. In this epic we play our part with fierce hearts. You didn't know we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. In base lab alone with my mind. Stable theories they all refuse to find. I've been working on energy for a brand new day. But even in the crowd and still they cast away. Alienated from the A's of added nature in disguise. Ideas ahead of time dismissed with narrow eyes. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world you can deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his point. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talking about 0 point, the points lost on them. Kevin structures crumbling from the same old stem. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor, unheard injustice, burning ears. Fighting for a change in this wasteland of noise. But they call me foolish, why teach and boys? Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world he can deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his point. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice?
All right, welcome, and welcome back to BeneficenceTV Live. I'm your host, the Benefactor, and today we're going to be going over some interesting Coil updates. I have an update from Michel Morel on his 27-point Starship Coil. Pretty interesting stuff. We're going to have him back on the live stream real soon to go over all of his recent developments. He's got some really cool stuff. So I'm really excited to have Michel back on the podcast to go over some of his work. But for now, we're going to show you his Starship Coil and then go over some of my own recent updates. That's not it. There we go. Alright, so this is the frame. And I believe it has a ferret core. So hopefully this yields some pretty interesting results. I think it's supposed to get like an enormous amount of magnetic flux density, so that's going to be pretty exciting. What's going on, Mike? How you doing? Welcome, welcome. All right, so last time we had our mini lab, I was testing the open circuit method, and I was trying to get it to work. And we were designing different modifications. We're modifying the circuit in Falstead Circuit Simulator. We got the circuit running, and now we can, use that as a foundation to build on. So when we have an idea, we can put it in the simulator and see if it works. But for now, we have the simulator working, and we're going to be testing a new transistor tonight. So previously, I was working with the MJE 13009L series transistor. Now this transistor was recommended by Gerald. He does some amazing work with vortex coils. But the reason I think this new transistor might work a little bit better is this because it's a newer series of the same transistor. So it's an E13009-2 series. And the reason the older MJE 13009 L series transistor might not perform as well as the newer one, the -2 series, in our Lightning Thief system is actually pretty simple. The 13009L series was designed years ago for basic power supplies, so it can switch power but not with the speed or precision that our setup really needs. The newer E13009-2 is like an upgraded version. It switches faster, wastes less energy as heat, and stays much more stable when we push the system into that special frequency range where all the magic happens, right? The resonance range. So when we start to excite the coil, I think this transistor is going to hold up a lot better. So once we dial everything in, the E13009-2 series transistor should handle the workload cleaner, sharper, and far more efficiently, which lets the whole system breathe and perform the way it's meant to. Now, I did basically just hook up the transistor because we can swap out transistors with the PCB version of the Lightning Thief. All right, I showed you guys how to build the breadboard version, but the PCB version, designed by Michel Morel, it has an open circuit mode and a closed circuit mode that we've been testing both modes with, and it has swappable components. So I, have terminals on there, screw terminals, so you can swap out components pretty easily. And we've swapped out I think it's a MJL21194G, which is what Michel was using for his coils. We swapped that out for Gerald's recommendation, but it was the L series, the 13009L. Now we're going to try to get the -2 series of that same transistor, the high-speed version, the new version, to work with our system. But I swapped it out, and it didn't work. And there's a reason for that, and I'm thinking about it, and it's probably because we need to adjust the base resistance. So we have a 1K ohm resistor, and I was messing with the resistance with the closed circuit mode with the original transistor, and actually got the circuit to tune in a little bit more. Now, Michel's recommendation was for his coil, 1K, so I didn't really mess with that too much, or, I didn't really focus on it. Now, we're kind of trying to tune in the system at every single component, and I've got it running, I think it was running like 15% brightness, 15 or 18, something like that, percent brightness. Now it's running at like 30-40% brightness. So we're going to test the efficiency tonight. Yeah, it's going to drain a little bit faster, but if it's, a little bit brighter, we have to take that into account for efficiency calculations. So remember, the original system, which was, about 15% brightness, it wasn't as bright as, just plugging it into the wall. At 100% brightness is pretty bright. A 40-watt panel, it'll light up this whole room. But 15% bright is still pretty bright. It's still a good desk lamp for our lab, and specifically for experimenting. Now, if it's 40%, 30 to 40% bright compared to 15%, it's going to draw a little bit more current from the battery, obviously. But we have to measure that against our base, which is, we were getting, I think, 15 millivolts, like 10 to 15 millivolts per hour drain on the battery, which is extremely slow. So it was a very efficient system already. So now we're going to match that and see if it maintained the efficiency while increasing the brightness, or if we're going to need to dial it back a little bit. So that's how we're going to gauge this and tune in the base resistance. Now we're going to need to do that, I suspect, for the new transistor, and dial in that base resistance, and we'll do that tonight. And basically the test method is very simple. It's, start with one, resistor and swap out another one. So we're going to probably start around, I think the recommendation from ChatGPT was like 420 or something, 460 ohms. So right now, our original circuit was running at 1K with a 1K ohm resistor and a potentiometer, a 1 meg potentiometer. We're going to adjust that 1K ohm resistor tonight and see if we can get that new transistor to excite the coil. And hopefully that should yield some even better results than our current transistor. Because specifically with the open circuit mode, we want the electric field to snap into place before the collapse of the magnetic field. And this is very important for capturing that radiant energy. Remember, the radiant energy, when captured correctly, will ride on top of that inductive spike, right? That impulse. Oh, and just an update. Tomorrow at 10 p.m., we have a new podcast with Malcolm Bendel. He's agreed to do a weekly podcast here on the channel. So tomorrow's going to premiere the Bendel Report. We're going to, go through some of Malcolm Bendel's plasma technology, his thunderstorm generator, and he's going to teach us some of the principles of his plasma technology. And the science behind the, thunderstorm generator and the plasmoid unification model, which I'm really excited about. So that is really exciting. That starts tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For now, let's load up a video, because I have a couple of videos to go through before we start our testing for the coil.
All right, it's John Fraser. I'm here with Daniel Nunez. And anyway, he was showing some really great stuff here with his wife on basically rodent coils or vortex coils.
So this is a interview. It's a rare interview. I've never seen this before. This is the first time I'm watching it. Sent to me by my lab partner, Michel Morel. He found it. So we're going to watch this. It's a rare interview with Daniel Nunez. I believe it's at the Breakthrough Energy Conference. I'm not really sure. Let's take a look.
Well, things like that. But I just wanted you to, just tell our viewers your story, and how you got started in your entrepreneurial stuff, and what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, very briefly, we got into sustainable energy, looking into solar panels, wind turbines, and things like that, and found that that was not going to be an end-all for energy sustainability. So we got into rodent coils, looking into vortex-based math, and we basically acquired deeper insights into how energy naturally wants to flow. So we created various vortex coil designs that now are able to output more energy than what's going into them, which provides us alternatives for battery charging, lighting, motor generators, and such. So our goal is to see it all the way through and basically create a new breed of technologies while distributing the fundamentals open source so that everyone can learn and benefit.
Awesome. Now you guys have like 100 plus videos, something like that on your website?
100 plus videos for everyone.
Wow. So you hear that? That's confirmation. Hundreds of videos they had on their website and on YouTube, all taken down. They were open sourcing everything. What happened?
One to look at, and it's anything ranging from technical to instructional, so do-it-yourselfers can actually log in, learn how to build a coil from scratch, and we've given out dimensions for frames and everything. We also have a forum on our website, interactive coils that you can click, drag around, and see what the coils look like in full 3D.
That's awesome. So, and our viewers, people looking at the blog and stuff today, what's the best way for them to contact you, look at some of your stuff?
So the website is OneStopEnergies, the number one, energiesies.com. OneStopEnergies.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Awesome.
Fascinating. Fascinating. but it just gives more evidence to what we already know, that Daniel Nunes probably sold his technology and can't talk about it because he's under a non-disclosure agreement, which, you know, is understandable. A lot of inventors do that. They either have to further fund their research by selling some of it, or, you know, they're in a bad position financially. That's sometimes the case. So either way, you know, it's unfortunate because this technology has been shut down a few times already. However, that's not going to happen anymore with my do-it-yourself guide, reverse engineering everything Daniel Nunes and, you know, Jack Scholes and everybody who was working on these coils, reverse engineering what they did with the little information we have left online is my job. And I put that out there for you guys in every video. You can go into the description of the video and find the DIY guide, do-it-yourself guide for these coils. It comes with a comprehensive guide to from building the frame, putting it together, winding it. There's, you know, we have classes that I've done where I walk you through the winding process, basically walk you through making the coil from start to finish. It's sometimes it could be quite a tedious process, but it's worth it. Because these coils, as Daniel Nunes stated in one of his recent comments on Instagram, these coil designs should be standard practice, right? This should be taught in schools, how to design these coils, because they're the most fucking efficient coil you will ever find for some of these energy designs, right? Now we're talking about the inverter that we are comparing our you know, lightning thief system to. The baseline, the inverter is 74% efficient. It runs the system on 12.2 watt-hours of energy for 3 hours. My system runs the same fucking load for over 15 hours. And then it keeps on going. It doesn't just shut off like the inverter, because the inverter requires like 11.8 or 12 volts to run. It doesn't just shut off. It keeps going. And sometimes it'll go past, depending on the load that you have, it'll go past, you know, 10 or 9 volts on the battery, on a 12-volt battery. So that's pretty incredible, especially if you're going off the grid, you're in an emergency situation where the power shuts off. That's exactly what happened to me not that long ago. Thank God I have the Lightning Thief system, right? And I have these batteries, and I have the Bedini SSG, where I can use one of the batteries to charge the other battery. So I'm never really caught in a position here where I'm without light, okay? There will always be light. Let there be light. Very, very easy to get light, an efficient lighting system out of one of these coils. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys and walk you through these processes of how to tune your coils for the maximum efficiency for whatever you're doing. Specifically, we're focusing on lighting and heating right now, but there are other applications, you know, like rotaries, magnetic rotaries for driving a motor. So, you know, not only energy, but potentially propulsion systems, you know. So that's in our future for R&D regarding these coils. You know, there's a lot of practical applications. Specifically, it's really easy to turn these coils into a really highly efficient speaker. It's one of the things that I've, you know, been wanting to do on this live stream for a while. We never quite get to it because it's kind of like, you know, one of the easy things to do, and I don't find it that interesting. But it is fun to show it and to try to develop a more highly, you know, efficient, highly, you know, high-quality speaker. Because these coils have the ability to do something very eerie, supposedly, and I haven't heard it personally. But Daniel Nunes has noted that these coils, when hooked up as a speaker in the right configuration, can produce spooky sound. And he said it's not exactly surround sound, but it is 3D sound. Like, imagine the coil as a speaker sitting in front of you, producing a sound, but it sounds like it's coming from behind you, right? So imagine that application in a sound bar. Now you imagine a situation where the soundbar is actually fucking useful. Where the soundbar is projecting sound, but you're actually hearing it behind you and not in front of you. Now this is the magic of scalar technology. You know, we're now dealing with transverse waves. All right, we have another video. Okay, so this one is a video where Daniel Nunes supposedly got over 400% efficiency. He claimed over Unity in this video. I think Michelle said he had it analyzed with AI, and he might have been using the wrong multimeter. And this happens, you know, this area of fringe science is a learning process for everybody, because there's no textbook that says this is how you set up your coil properly. But diving into it and learning yourself, you have to go through these mistakes, and I've gone through them, you know, making a simple measurement error. But you push on, you correct that error. Now, there's a chance that he was using the wrong multimeter in this video. I think this is the video that Michelle said that the AI analyzed it and said he could have been using the wrong multimeter that doesn't register frequency or current above a specific frequency range, which I've seen with my own multimeters. And this is the problem with reading radiant energy spikes. Like our current measurement systems aren't really set up to read negative electricity, right? It's more potential. Negative electricity, if it's running good in your system, is going to have the minimum amount of current required. It's going to be running very low current. So it's very hard to detect. I think John Bedini said that the only way you can kind of gauge it is with analog meters. Hey Elias, how you doing? Yep, 10 years ago. Daniel was selling units. He is no longer selling coil kits. There was a comment that we went over the other day, something along the lines of for the time being, he's no longer selling coil kits. So that's interesting. There is one of his frames online, but it's not the interference frame. It's not. It's the single wind pattern, and it's the grooved frame. It's not the spoked wheel frame. So it's the inferior frame is on available for $10 on his website now. You can also buy a T-shirt, which is cool. I might go on there and buy one of those. That's fun. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think he's able to talk about these vortex coils and you know, comment on them, which makes sense why he kind of just disappeared for a while. You know, he had probably a contract with somebody, you know, developing the technology for Russia, which is honestly some kind of elitist technology that most of us will never be able to have access to, and that's just kind of fucking pathetic. You know, hoarding that kind of technology is shameful. It's shameful. And I really cannot put into words how fucked up someone has to be to hoard this technology, like the leader of the CEO of Russia, who's pretending that this technology, this vortex technology, is his and his alone. You know, that's disgusting. This technology belongs to the world, and to be selling it to like rich people for like $2,000 for a couple hours of a session in your therapy device, instead of like using it for everyday off the grid practical energy solutions, is just, It's shameful, really, and there is really no excuse for that kind of greed. You know, you could just go bury your head in the sand and fuck off, because that's unacceptable. When the world is starving, you're going to be doing that? No, you can fuck off.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Nunez, and today is September 26th of 2012. What I would like to present today is a clear indication of over-unity in both measurement of input wattage and output wattage from the unification coil rewired. So this is some of the best progress we've seen to date with this technology, and I would like to share that with you today. So if you have any comments, questions, or feedback at the end, feel free to post in the comments section below. As always, thank you for your support and blessings.
That's exactly what Marco said. Mike does chat it in. That is exactly what Marco said. It belongs to the world, but where is Marco? He's supposed to have access. Daniel said he was sending his kit to Marco. And where's Marco promoting this? I don't see him out there promoting this technology. He still talks about vortex math. That's cool, you know, teaching people, but the practical applications are important too. And, you know, like, if he was really sent a kit, like, we've seen a live stream where Daniel was live on a live stream with Marco Rodin. And he was walking Marco's friend through the coil excitation process. He got it, the coil excited. And then, you know, Marco's friend got excited, and then Marco came in. He brought Marco in, and Daniel was like, yeah, I'm going to send you the coil and kit so you can have one of these. So where is it? Where's Marco promoting this? I mean, come on. Like, if he has it, that's unacceptable too. I mean, there's a chance that he never actually got sent one. But if he did, that's, like, fuck you too. Come on. So I'm trying to read it because it's the screen's kind of far. It says 458% over unity. So he is lighting a load with this too. So it's 14 watts going into the cell. I'm sorry, coil. It says 82 watts coming out of the coil. Yeah, dude, it was Rodin. We were here live on a podcast where I was going over these old videos with you guys, and I found one where he was on live with Marco Rodin. Somebody, like, saved it. Thank God they fucking captured it online, and it was somewhere. I don't know where the fuck I found it. It's still available on our archives on YouTube, so you can go back. I forget which video it is, but yeah, we found the video where Daniel Nunez was live with Marco Rodin, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you one of these coils and kits so you can have one of these. So what the fuck? If he has one, where is it? Why isn't he promoting it? Why isn't he teaching us how to use it? I don't understand why everybody's so quiet with this technology. Is everybody getting money? I don't see no fucking money coming my way. You know, like, where the fuck is my money, honey? Like, what the fuck? No, I'm gonna work towards selling the kits to you guys. It's gonna take a long time to get to that state, but in the meantime, you guys can build them yourself if you have the ability to. I mean, vortex math is important to teach, but at the same time, Marco likes to present himself like he is the know-all of it. When Randy Powell found hidden sequences in the vortex math pattern that Marco himself didn't see. And Randy Powell was the one who developed those sequences into the practical coil application. He was the one who made it a physical device. And it's based on the hidden sequences that he found that Marco didn't see. I'm not saying that Marco is completely ignorant. I'm just saying he might not have all the pieces. And Randy Powell comes in and actually puts it into something practical. He develops a practical application for it. And they have a falling out. Surprise, surprise. Marco gets probably pissed off because, his student, surpassed him and developed something that he didn't. I don't know, honestly, why they had a falling out. It's up to you to decide. But they did. They had a falling out because of his discovery. And yeah, I don't know. We got a bunch of big dicks swinging in this game, and a bunch of egos getting in the way of real science and open sourcing technology. I don't understand. How you can be in a position to actually do some good and just sit on this shit. You know what I mean? That to me is kind of it goes back to the old saying, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And if a good man like Marco Rodin has this coil and kit and access to this technology and how it works, and he's not promoting it or teaching people how to use it, then that's a good man failing to act, in my opinion. And it's really sad to see. And it's not just him, it's all these people. It's almost like systematically have either gone quiet or sold the technology and deleted all their videos. And it's really unfortunate. But I mean, it's very fucking simple to get this working. And Daniel himself said, this should be standard practice. This should be standard practice. And I'm going to repeat it again. Building these fucking vortex coils should be standard practice in electrical engineering. The fact that we don't teach these unique effects that happen with these coils at all, it's kind of telling. It's kind of like speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. Mike says, of course, the fallout. Marco don't want people selling the tech. He wants people building it and using it, not replicating it for profit. Well, here's the thing. Not everybody has the ability to replicate it. And it's not going to get out unless it's widespread and manufactured in an industrial level. And that's the sad fact. People are just going to keep on ignoring it in the mainstream until we have, Malcolm solved that problem. He found a distributor and a manufacturer to manufacture his kits. That's what we need to do. Because not everybody has the ability to build them themselves, right? Everybody should have access to this technology, though. And that's the thing. It should be affordable. And the difference is not having a patent on it and having open competition on the technology so that there's competition to develop it further. Oh, I can make the better circuit because it's open source. This is an open circuit or open source circuit that we can develop freely between our two companies. And we compete who can make the better circuit and get the more customers and subsume more of the market base, right? It's that fucking simple. I mean... That's how market capitalism works. If you want a better definition of it, free to use, not for sale. Yeah, I mean, that's like a utopian idealist dream. Okay, that's a fantasy. Right now, we're living in reality, right? The reality is the most practical way to get this technology out is not to shut it out of the market completely, but to shut it out of the patents office, right? You want to keep it in the public domain. Keep it open so that people can develop it. That doesn't mean that the individual can't make it themselves either, right? It just means that you can't patent it and savor all the profit for yourself as a company. Everybody has to benefit, whether it's the individual or the company. And that's the reality we live in. Is the only way we're going to get this technology out is to do what Malcolm did, is you know, combine efforts with a manufacturer and a distributor. Okay, so back to the video. It says 34 watts from the wall. Okay, so they're counting now the wattmen. So they're using a stereo amp. Daniel's using a stereo amp, and a stereo amp takes power to power up. Okay, so we have 2 units of measure here for the input. We have the input from the wall, which is the total watts consumed from the whole system, and then we have the wattage that the coil uses. So the coil itself is only using 14 because that's the output of the stereo amp. So it takes 34 watts. I'm sorry. It takes 10 watts to power the stereo amp. I'm sorry, 20 watts to power the stereo amp, and then 14 watts are output into the coil. So to start that amplification process, it takes a little bit more than it's outputting to the coil. But the process of transforming that voltage, stepping up that voltage, is still significant, because remember, we're using a 1-to-1 ratio of basically a transformer at a 1-to-1 ratio, which shouldn't happen, and it's stepping up at least 10 times with my coil at least. So that's interesting in and of itself. All right, look here. It looks like we have 864 hertz. Looks like a sine wave. 864 hertz. Interesting. I wonder what the size of his coil is. Let's see. Oh, that's his 40-watt panel, I think.
Alright, so here's the setup we're running today. We have an amplifier standing wattage of 21 watts, and as soon as we turn on the 864 hertz to activate this amplifier, as we will right here, lights turn on, and now the amplifier's load wattage is 34 watts. That means that we had an increase of 13 watts. So that 13 watts should match the input meters. So we have 58.1 watts, 58.1 volts. Right here is 57.8, and 255 milliamps, 252 or so. That leaves us with somewhere around 14 watts. That pretty much matches this wattage. So now on this side we have 315 volts, 250.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, if the frequency is too high for that multimeter to actually register the current accurately, doesn't it drop the current, not raise it? And if that's the case, then what we're seeing here isn't a measurement error. So that's something to consider. I'm not really sure how that would work, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if there is a limit to the frequency, if there's a threshold of acceptance for that multimeter to read that current accurately, I believe that once that threshold is reached, the current is read inaccurate, it drops, doesn't it? Or it stays the same if it should be higher? I'm not really sure. Well, that's something for ChatGPT. When we take our break before the lab, I'll ask ChatGPT about that. But let's continue on with this video.
The 8 milliamps, 256. It dances around. See, what's good to note is that the output milliamperage is more than the input milliamperage. But there goes that breakdown, and we're left with 82.8
68 watts. That's nowhere near what's coming out from the wall there. That's only 34.
I'm sorry, dude. If Marco really wanted people building it and not selling it, he would be on live streams like we are, teaching people how to build it. That's just, it's just as simple as that. He if that's really what he wanted, he would be on live streams doing it like we are. So either he doesn't want that or he doesn't have access to the technology.
4 watts. That means we have an increase of power of 458%. So that's the setup there. So there we have the coil. That's your meter reading. It's the wattage. And it's a clear indicator of over unity. So
okay, so this is the wormhole coil. This is the one that should yield the maximum efficiency, because what we're doing is essentially we're taking a regular ABHA coil, the ABHA variation, which is the standard vortex shape, the donut, and then we're using a secondary wrap around that in the sequence of the traditional Rodin coil sequence. So those more star patterned coils you see that are more flat, those Rodin coils, that pattern is wrapped around the inside of this coil, I believe, and that's used as a pickup. And now some kind of nested coil, in my theory and a lot of other people's theories, is the maximum way to utilize these kinds of coils, right? Because you have the maximum amount of energy density at the core of the coil, right? At the tore, inside the tore, that's where you're going to find the most amount of energy. Now, if you could put another coil, a nested coil, inside the coil, right there in the center, and we do have a frame for that, then you really have something. And I think that's a good direction to take our research in the near future as well. We want to build that nested coil frame that Jordan from Alchemical Science actually built. But he actually didn't get any, he said he was changing direction with the Rodin coil because he didn't get any results. I really wish, I could get him on the podcast and share some of these new discoveries that Michelle and I have had with these coils, because they're really extraordinary. They perform just as advertised. They're really phenomenal.
by the grace of vortex-based mathematics, we have a better understanding of how to make more energy efficient devices today.
Well, that kind of, stuck-up attitude I don't accept. Mike says, Marco would be more than happy to speak with you until you start selling the tech, then he probably disconnect. If that's true, then that shows a level of privilege that is just conceited beyond belief, because, I'm living in basic poverty on a shoestring budget, and to fund my research I have to sell some shit, and I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Some of us can't all we can't all live in mansions, with maids and access to drivers who will drive us around. I live in a completely different lifestyle than a lot of these other successful people. Like Marco, he lives in a nice house. He has money. He makes money from his lectures, I don't know exactly, you know, like how he lives, and I'm not saying this is his opinion, but that's what Mike said. Like if he's going to disconnect because I'm selling tech, then that just shows a level of privilege. You know, like I can't afford to not sell something at this point because, you know, like my fucking fridge depends on it. You know, I barely have food to feed myself some days. And it's not like I don't have a good job. It's the cost of living in this country is just outlandish. It's gotten to a point where, you know, we have food banks and basic food drives that happen, you know, like regularly, that, you know, we'd have people show up for. Now the lines are around the fucking block for all of them, all around. And it's kind of scary how fast food has gotten so expensive. Yeah, but that's just the situation that a lot of us are living in. You know, we can't all live with money. You know, it's hard to obtain wealth as a worker in this kind of economy. So if I have to, I will sell some of this shit to you guys. And I plan on, you know, putting together some of these kits for some of you to buy. I know I had a couple of reserved units already. I'm having trouble cracking the open circuit mode, and I don't want to sell one of these units without solving that issue, because that's a core feature of this unit. And if I don't understand how it works, then how the fuck am I gonna teach you how it works, and how the hell am I gonna help you if you have a problem with it, or if you can't get it working, or if you need to troubleshoot something, right? So that all goes into the research and development phase of these coil kits, and I just ask that people be a little patient, but they will be available eventually. That's the goal. Because everybody's been asking me about them, and unfortunately, you know, like I can't do this as fast as I'd like. That's the reality I live in. Is I work a 9 to 5. You know, I work in construction, which can be completely, you know, tiring. So some days I don't even have the energy to do any work with the coils, even if I wanted to. So it's going to be a slow process, but I trust me, I am working on it. And it is going to be something that is going to be a goal for me, to put some of these kits on my shop for you guys to buy. I'll buy a coil as long as you can power with a car battery. I mean, I can power it with a car, but I'm using a scooter battery right here to power this fucking light. So, like, yeah, I don't know, man. People don't just throw out shit in my generation anymore. Like, a lot of my generation, especially the millennials, we're used to fixing things ourselves, you know, because we don't have the luxury of being able to hire somebody to fix stuff for us. So a lot of us are in the position to having to learn how to fix things ourselves. So, I mean, that's just the reality of our generation is, you know, we're kind of living in another Great Depression where it's like, you know, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades because you can't afford otherwise, right? Like education, especially when it's so easily accessible online, in a self-taught manner, it's you know, like it's almost a necessity for survival. It's a pretty big field. I don't think mine gets that big. But again, he has basically 2 coils wrapped together, which is actually 4 coils wrapped together technically. So he probably has a lot more inductance than my coil. So Mike, I don't know. I have no interest in making a lot of money. You know, like I don't like a lot of people say get rich, you know, off your tech, and I have no interest in money. You know, like I just want to be able to feed myself and not go homeless. But other than that, I could care less if I have a nice car or, you know, like I have a nice house. I'd like to have a house someday, but even if I'm living in a fucking apartment, you know, as long as I have access to my coils and, you know, some video games every once in a while, I'm happy. I'm not the kind of person who's always striving for more material stuff. I kind of try to limit my material consumption. I'm really I try to be conscious of it because I do like to play video games, and that is kind of like a vice of mine. But you know, it's important to get back to reality, which is, you know, like basically family. Family is important to me. Family and friends, you know, like social interactions, and teaching people how to make these coils. That's important to me. You know, making sure people understand that what they've been taught is impossible in school is actually possible. And it's not only possible, it's fucking easy. And it kind of frustrates me that you know, some people, even to this day, people that I know personally who have seen this tech work still fight me on it, you know, like, or still are in denial about it. So it's, hey, Jalapeno, how you doing? We got Jalapeno in the house. Yeah, so I mean, like teaching people how this technology works and learning myself how to develop it with you guys is what I live for. This is why I'm here. That's why I love doing it. You know, like I do it as a job, as a 9 to 5 if I could. Just sit here all day and work on these coils, figure out, you know, what makes them tick, how you can make them, you know, power this device or that device. There is a way to use these coils in a lot more ways than people actually realize. We were just working on the circuit, and I'll show you guys in a little bit, if you remind me, the dual thief. Remember, we have 2 joule thieves, and remember the coils wirelessly induce electricity into one another, so you can have this coil as the primary and another coil sitting on top of it, not connected to the power, but getting power, free energy that's not affecting the input of the first primary. And that will power its own joule thief device, and that can be fed back into the power rail to combine. It's there's so many fucking configurations that'll blow your fucking mind. Like, if you think that's incredible, go on the do-it-yourself guide in the description of the video. There's a whole bunch of theoretical configurations for these devices that I came up with that I've, you know, some of them I've tested, some of them I haven't gotten to work. But just go on the guide and just read some of those configurations. There's so much that you can do just with this one fucking circuit. It's pretty incredible. It's very versatile. So 1 week course for $200 per student. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to teach a master course in rodent coils. I'm still learning myself. All right, so we have one more video, just a quick clip. Michelle sent me this, but I've seen it. It's just a reminder of how Tesla's impulse technology works in a nutshell, as described by John Bedini himself, the man, the legend,
the powers within.
Sorry for the ad.
You can see the spikes here. So what we want to do is we want to steal this impulse that you see on the scope here. We want to actually capture it and send it to a battery to recharge the battery. So when we do that, if we watch the battery, and see then the impulse technology is still there. So we'll expand this a little bit so you can see what we're capturing. But see, it goes below the line now. It goes into the negative region of the coil. It's below the line.
Okay.
So what we're actually doing now is we're taking the negative electricity and telling it to charge this battery. And you can see that there's no effect on the motor. And there's actually 2 or 3 different places that we can tap this negative energy. We could, for instance, insert another coil in series with this and capture another high voltage across this coil. And if we walk over here to the blackboard, we'll sort of explain it to you. Here's the circuit of the monopole motor, and you can see that there's one motor drive coil. There's one trigger coil because we need the trigger to set the impulse technology into operation. But the one thing that's different you'll notice.
Right, you're not charging a battery with another battery, unlike the Mythbusters myth, so to speak. What you're doing is triggering a coil collapse, and you're charging the second battery with that collapse impulse, or the impulse created by that collapse.
Here is now the rectifiers are placed across just one coil. So if we take this coil and we just give it an impulse and shut it off, what we're going to do is capture the negative energy in the system. And so this is exactly what's happening here. We just want to capture the DC impulse technology and send it to the next battery. Now Tesla's analogy was this straight wire down here with a light bulb across the wire. Now when the impulses, I'll just draw it this way. When the impulses are correct, a node appears across this wire.
A node.
A node.
N-O-D-E. Okay.
N-O-D-E, node. And that's where the voltage is. At the correct frequency, then the free energy appears, and that's right here.
Bam! Straight from the man himself, Mr. John Bedini, R.I.P., sir. I believe he passed away in 2016. We'll be back in about 10-15 minutes, something like that. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more revolutionary content. Don't forget to hit the notify button on the live stream for tomorrow that I set up for the Bendel Report. The premiere of the Bendel Report with Malcolm Bendel himself, a weekly podcast, will start tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to hit that notify button so you're reminded.
Let's change the world. In the heart of a life, the tension was thick. Skeptics gathered round the table, ready to fit. Chose your fruit, fed neck, the taste beer, and I find the stream. You're just chasing a spin. The Michael style by with fire in his eyes. Just watch as I spin, let the naysayers cry. Girl, spin fast, in a heart full of fight. I'll show you the power that's hidden inside. Oh, Michael's rising like the morning sun. With the power of either, he will be outdone. Well, stand up and shout, let the truth be unfurled. Feel the energy. energy flow. Let's change the world. I'm the best there's ever been.
They came for our bodies, but they awakened our spirit.
Gravity is not the only thing they control.
I'm done running. Time to hunt.
In a lab, my dust cracks the code tonight. Oh yeah, that's true. Wires and circuits to shine in neon light. Oh yeah, seen you creating power from the air. These smiles and delight. Mike does it right. Hey. Mike does all Mike, he's the one teaching us knowledge, lighting the sun. Trumpeting his legacy alive is his. Mike does knows we're his biggest fans. Down in the basement, secrets start to glow. With Nathan and Lulu in the show. Oh, brilliant team. Mike came from Faraday. We're letting knowledge flow. Energy streams. Mike does all Mike is the one teaching us knowledge, lighting the sun. Trumpeting his legacy alive is his. Mike does knows we're his biggest fans. Years of thought, bringing dreams to life, turning theories into electric light. Mike and us, a journey to ignite. We've reached new heights. Mike does all Mike is the one teaching us knowledge, lighting the sun. Trumpeting his legacy alive is his. Mike does knows we're his biggest fans.
You might have heard a Joule Thief circuit hum to you before, but have you ever heard a Joule Thief circuit actually sing to you? This is energy recycling. 15.5 hours of continuous power compared to just 2.5 hours off of a standard inverter. While this traditional inverter already maxes out at 88.5% efficiency, we're breaking every limit with my Vortex Coil system. This standard DC to AC inverter will only run for 2.5 hours on 12.2 watt hours of energy. But my system provides energy for a whopping 15.5 hours off of the same 12.2 watt hours. That's over 6 times more efficient. Not only that, the system will keep powering my lights well past 12 volts on the battery. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a new industrial revolution. This is the energy of the future, and you are powering it. Imagine a world where energy is infinite, where the power to fuel our lives doesn't come from burning the past, but from harnessing the future. This is the breakthrough that changes everything. 0-point energy, the power of the universe itself, unlocked, and you are the reason it is possible. While the world sleeps, you're awake. While others talk, we are building. This isn't just technology, it's a revolution. And it's happening right now, powered by you. So thank you so much for joining me here on Beneficence TV and supporting our goals in open sourcing 0-point energy technology and disseminating all forms of forbidden knowledge.
Changing the system, we're treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice?
They came to claim our world. What they didn't count on was him.
Showtime! Hail to the king, baby! And in the depths of shadowed halls, I wandered all alone, casting whispers, binding chains, demons of my own. Toxic deafening, down spread on my frail soul. I once feared my mirror, haunted by my role. But in the echoes of my cries, just still I emerge, guiding me to where my true results are. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire I ascend, free from the chains of sorrow, all this path of forever depend. Shattered glass beneath my feet, stars I wear but dry. Stormy nights just turn to dawn, I wear truth as my guide. Anxiety's dissolved in the sun's golden ray. You see my destiny through time and space. The fears that once consumed me now they take. For in my heart a new world is proclaimed. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire I ascend, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path I forever depend. With symmetry I found the power, blessings granted by the hour. Together we will come the way. Revolution calls and I'm not strong. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire I ascend, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path I forever depend. In basal lamp alone with my mind, stable theories they all refuse to find. I've been working on energy for a brand new day, but even in the crowd I'm still a castaway. Alienated from the aims of added nature in disguise, ideas ahead of time dismissed with narrow eyes. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world you can't deploy, changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talk to me about 0 point, the points lost on them. on the same old Sam. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor.
All right, welcome, and welcome back. We're going to step into the lab for a minute, and we're going to see if we can get that new transistor to start to excite the coil by adjusting the resistor. But first, I want to demonstrate the adjusted resistance of the current system that I have and the increased brightness. So get ready to put on your sunglasses, everybody. It's going to get hot. Oh, baby. Look at that. Look how bright it is compared to what it was before. Oh, that's nice. So we're getting around 300 times 10, so 3,000 lux. So that's lumen per meter, I believe, is what the measurement of lux is. This little meter right here. Unfortunately, to read it properly, we'd have to shut off all the lights, and there's a camera light. We might still be able to measure it, but it's very dim, but it's still on the camera. I don't know how to shut it off. It's a little tiny ring around the camera. It might not affect the reading, though, but who knows? We might do a reading in a little bit if we can get it to excite and see what brightness we can get it to excite at. But as you'll see in a second, when I zoom in with the collab cam, it's actually lighting this and exciting the neon lamp, which it's not supposed to do at the same time. So since I decreased the resistance in the base, I increased the current going into the system. And, you know, it's kind of dangerous to do that because you can, you know, either blow the transistor or other components. But it seems to be pretty stable. It was running for an hour. I left for a little bit, and I came back. It seemed to be fine. Nothing seemed to shut off or anything like that. So seems to be pretty stable. And I think I'm actually using a 1/4 watt resistor instead of a single or a 1/2 watt resistor. So that's interesting. It is getting a little bit hot, so when you replace it, you know, if you're doing this experiment, you know, let it cool down a little bit because you will burn yourself with a little resistor like that. So that's pretty cool. Again, we're going to be testing the transistor with the closed circuit and the open circuit to see if we can get any kind of switching to happen. So let's cue up that lab music, get the collab cam working, and let's get to work.
majestic moments in cosmic flight. Holding on to stars of starlight. There's a light within the dark waves, guided by echoes and ancient ways. Unify our reflection. With everything there's a connection. Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone feels the goodness of our invitation. There's a light within the dark waves, guided by echoes and ancient ways. Unify our reflection. With everything there's a connection. Feel the pulse, divine sensation.
In a lab with dreams ignite, Lulu's mind is taking flight. Bouncing equations, there's a plan she designs. Unlocking secrets.
It's working!
I say let's reach the stars with knowledge as our guide. In this universe we're tracing our destinies collide. Knowledge, wisdom, a peek in the dark. Juggling studies and like igniting a spark. Every calculation, every moment so grand. She's building the future with her guiding hand. Every shift she's closer to the night. Family won't she find strength to find. I say let's reach the stars with knowledge as our guide.
I have to say, I really didn't think we'd get that working that fast. Right off the bat with the 220 ohm resistor that I had in from the other transistor. The adjustment that I already made. That's interesting, right? Huh. Oh, nice. I'm really excited now. I'm going to shut off the lights and see if we can take a quick lux reading to see where we're at.
The circuits are sparking, can you hear it? Charge to unveil. Nathan's working through the stormy night, defying physics, unlocking light. In a world fueled by power unseen, high voltage dreams, they reclaim the scene. We fly high and we soar above, finding energy, push and shove. With gravity waves, we'll break the chains. In Nathan's realm, we fuse the flames.
Secrets and shadows, true quest to follow. Ancient designs, all lost to time. Eyes of the
anti-magnetic circles of power aligning destiny's way. Running those rings, they defy gravity. Critics breaking out, they don't bother heat. In his domain, Jill sets the world free. Lord of the Rings, pretty strong. Proving the current if you're wrong. Electromagnetic symphony. Terror only crash destiny. 340 cheats from his fingertips. Inspiration study top of scripts. Geometric secrets, this guy can't flip. Bunker King in his rebel stead, building up for the world again. Lighting up the dark, igniting every zen. Lord of the Rings, really strong. Proving the current, take me wrong. Electromagnetic symphony. Terror only grasps destiny. Lord of the Rings, really strong. Proving the current to be wrong. Electromagnetic symphony. Terror only crash destiny.
All right, so right off the bat with the 220 ohm resistor that I was using for the other transistor to tune it in a little bit better, right off the bat the 220 ohm resistor worked. So I tested it with the 1K, it didn't work, specifically on the breadboard and the PCB. So that was last night, and the first try we got it working, so that's very exciting. The only downside is it's not finely tuned. So 220 is finely tuned for the other transistor. Apparently it's getting like 2,500 lux. So it's 250 and then it's a little times 10 at the bottom. So that's around 2,500 lux, which is lumens per meter, I believe. And compared to the faster, more upgraded version of the same transistor that we just got working, that's only getting about 1,800 lux, so it's not quite as bright. Not quite there yet. So I moved a little bit up as much as I could with my transistor set. I need to get a more fine-tuned set of transistors, or I'm sorry, resistors. Well, not resistors, because we need to kind of fine-tune the resistance by stepping it down individually, and that's really the only way to do this, is to swap the resistors individually and just monitor the brightness output. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to order a new set of resistors to fine-tune this. We can test different ones. I did test 100 ohm. That got a little, that didn't turn on. Nothing turned on below 100 either. So obviously our cutoff is going to be 100, or it might be a little bit above 100. We're going to have to see. But it's probably going to be anywhere from 100 ohms to 220 ohms. Somewhere in there is our sweet spot. And we're going to have to find it. So we're going to just have to get a set of resistors that, you know, we can step up individually as much as possible. I don't know if they even make, you know, like, you know, that kind of set, but we'll see what we have available. Also, a second potentiometer is a possibility. We can try a second potentiometer. That's always a possibility. And I do have a potentiometer set as well. I don't know if we're going to get into that tonight. Yeah, so I'm really excited that we finally got this, we actually got this transistor working. Because I was having trouble with it last night. I was working with it for maybe an hour or two. And I wasn't getting any kind of effect. I was monitoring it on the O-scope and all that stuff. So this is really cool that we got it working. The next step is to fine-tune it and then monitor the efficiency, which is monitor the battery drain and compare it to the system that we had already tuned. Before was getting around 15 millivolts per hour on the battery. So, but it was a lot dimmer. It was more like 15%. This is more like 30, 40%. And with the new transistor, this seems more like 20. Let's see. Because I think the full brightness at 100% is like 700 times 10. So 7,000 lux. Let's see. It's still only registering around 3.8% for the new system. Let's see, the other system was around 2,500, I believe. Mike says you can actually use diode to use both the forward current and the flyback. Yeah, we're gonna have to experiment with some of those modifications, Mike. You're gonna have to help me with some of those circuit mods when we go into modifying that on the Falstead circuit simulator. Okay, yeah, so for the 1800 lux out of 7,000, I think 7,000 lux is the max brightness. So that means it's 25.7% bright right now. with the new transistor. We need to tune that in because the other one was getting around 2500 lux, and that's at 35.7% brightness. Unless I'm reading the meter wrong, which is always a possibility. Let me double check that. Yeah, that's what I thought. The times 10 is means the value displayed multiplied by 10. Simple as that. Self-explanatory. Just had to be sure. Unless I'm incorrect about the max brightness, it could be more than 7,000 lux, but we'll plug it into the wall in a minute and see. Yeah, let's take a reading again. All right, so I was wrong. The max is actually 220 times 100. So that's 22,000 lux. All right, yeah. So that's about 11% versus 8%. Almost 11.5%, but yeah. So we still got some tuning in we can do in both areas, I believe, increasing the current a little bit, whether it's with this transistor or with another one, or maybe even further modifying it, the circuit. You know, I'm wondering, let me unplug the diode on the circuit and replace it with a resonance relay, which is just a high-speed diode that I have with a heatsink on it. So let's do that. Let's see if that increases the brightness at all. Have a good night, Mike. I'm probably going to end this mini lab in a minute anyways. We have basically done everything I wanted to do tonight, is get this transistor working. We can't really do anything else until I get more resistors. I don't want to bust out the potentiometer tonight. We'll do that, and we'll set that aside for another mini lab. But I do want to tune in the coil a little bit more with this new transistor. I do believe it is possible, and I do believe it's going to be more efficient. So that's exciting. I did test the resonance relay, the high-speed diode on the circuit board, because we do have a 4007, a UF4007 diode on the circuit board, specifically bridging the collector and emitter as standard, procedure for a jewel thief. But I hooked up my resonance relay to it just to see if it would do anything. It didn't seem to have any effect at all, so that's interesting. So we'll keep it with the UF4007 and save the relay for something else. Another experiment I want to do is with the paradox box. Michel said that he actually he has a version of the paradox box. It's a Bedini magnet. It's the same north to north pole magnets that are glued together, and then it has a coil wrapped around it. His is a single coil that he tested. The one that he sent me is a bifilar, but I can still use a single channel in parallel with the load like he did, and so he put it on the lumen lamp, which is the same circuit, only a different coil and, different resistance for the base and all that. So the lumen lamp, which is here, I'll show you guys. So the lumen lamp is designed by Michel Morel. It is open source. You can go on his channel and find the links to all of the schematics, the printable STL files, all that stuff. But we will be trying to stock kits for you guys as well. So that's also a goal. But this is a design of his. He used this. And he hooked up the Bedini magnet in parallel with the capacitor and the load, the light, and then he moved the magnet to the top of the coil where the two channels are intersecting, are crossing. So it's like a intersection point right here in the middle. Right there, going all the way down. It's hard to see it, but you can see a better picture in the do-it-yourself guide. There's bigger pictures of the lumen lamp there. But anyways, yeah, he moved the magnet there, and he got a really big increase in brightness and watt output without any effect on the input. So that was really cool. And that kind of gives credence to John Bedini's theory that magnets are batteries or can be batteries. So that'll be interesting to test. I'm sure we can get that working in some capacity to do something. All right, I think we're going to close up the live stream. I'm probably going to play some Half-Life I've been playing Black Mesa, the Half-Life remake, which is pretty cool. Any fringe science nerd will love the Half-Life game storyline if you haven't heard of it. It's basically chock full of all the fringe science that you can ever think of, including, you know, resonance cascades and quantum entanglement and all sorts of fun stuff. The second one even has a 0-point energy field manipulator gun, the gravity gun. So you can use the gravity gun, which manipulates the 0-point energy field to grab things and then launch them, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I might stream some of that tonight. We do also have a game that I got on sale for like a couple of dollars called Erica. That's a story, you know, choose your own destiny story. It's supposed to be a really good psychological thriller, and we played about an hour of it the other night. It was pretty interesting. So I don't know, depending on how I feel, I might play one of those games tonight, and you know, let the ad revenue collect a little bit, because that is a method on how I do my funding. I have fun doing it too. So with that, I'm gonna bid you adieu and have a good night, everybody.
In the depths of hidden files, trapped inside the secret circuits, unraveling through the miles, oh, truth was masked by coded curtains. You didn't know, we're shattering the silence, feel the power, revelations on the rise. From the shadows, light emerges, breaking through the veils of dark. 0 points in gravity converge, yeah, guiding voices, revelation start. Ancient wisdom